What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of AC Reviews the World. I am your host, AC the Engineer. And we got a couple of things to go over today. But remember, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so we can keep up to date with any of the new news that's happening around the world. So, like always, any of just the viral topics that we just want to discuss and talk about and review the world together. But like I said, we got a lot of things to talk about. They finally arrested the Cincinnati brawl, the person who hit that woman. So we're going to look at that, get a good idea of who he is. And then there's a couple of other things. We got Chinese AI going crazy, some programs. So, we got to talk about some science stuff. And just various other topics. But let's jump right over into it and get this party started. Like always, let's have a civilized discussion and talk about things. If you disagree with anything I say, talk about it. Let's leave a comment and tell me what you're thinking. Tell me you think I'm stupid. Hey, and I'm just gonna try to give my unfiltered thoughts all the time. But let's jump right over into it. The first thing we're gonna talk about is that Cincinnati woman beater. Yep. So we're gonna watch a little bit. So we're gonna jump back so remind everybody what happened. So we're gonna jump right over into that. Look at some articles, and we got some videos to look at, just where we can actually see what he looks like. So let's jump right over into that and see what it's talking about. Without further ado, so this is just to remind everybody. Not gonna watch the whole thing, but let's see. So that's it for that. We know we ain't gonna play a whole bunch, but it was bad. It was bad. I'm still on the same. There's no need for you to hit that woman like that. Sucker punch her and hit her across the face, and that was bad. It just looks awful, and it's a very scary sight. But let's jump right over into. So the next thing we're gonna look at, we got some videos to watch. So let's jump over into that. Got some things to look at. Let's see what it's talking about.
A new arrest and additional charges tonight in connection to that violent downtown assault. Now, just a short time ago, police announced the arrest of now a fifth suspect. He was found down in Fulton County, Georgia. Thanks for joining us here at 6 o'clock. I'm Cherie Palello.
And I'm Mike Dardis. Cincinnati police working with an FBI task force. They brought 38-year-old Patrick Rosemond into custody. Officials now working to extradite him back here to Ohio.
And as the legal process moves forward, we are hearing from one of the victims for the first time. WLWT News 5's Karen Johnson live downtown with all of the new developments tonight. Karen, including new information about this fifth suspect who was arrested and his connection to that female victim.
Yeah, Cherie, there is a lot to unpack here. The latest update from investigators, they have identified 6 suspects. The fifth arrested, like you said, just a short time ago. Patrick Rosemond, he was taken into custody in Georgia, and WLWT has learned that he is the suspect who investigators say hit Holly, the woman who has been speaking. Another suspect, Dominique Kittle, appeared in court this morning.
Prosecutors calling Dominique Kittle a significant public safety threat. During this attack downtown last week, investigators say Kittle assaulted 3 men, hitting one in the face.
And he was knocked unconscious as a result of that.
In court this morning, Kittle's attorney, Caleb Baum, raised questions about his client's mental health, saying he has paranoid schizophrenia. Baum also said Kittle wasn't the aggressor.
He was scared. On the video, he can be seen running from people. He's trying to get away. I think that speaks to not only his mental condition, as far as the paranoid schizophrenia, but also how scared he was.
As the legal process moves forward on the people arrested so far, one of the 6 victims posted a video message we are sharing.
Talked about that, but she's basically just, we'll jump right into it.
I just want to say thank you so much to everyone for all of the love and support. It is very humbling that you have sent your prayers, your blessings. It's definitely what's keeping me going.
She says she's found strength in the support others are showing her.
It's been very, very hard, and I'm still recovering. I still have a very bad brain trauma. And it's, thank you, everyone.
And the identity now of the sixth suspect that investigators have identified has not yet been made public.
Okay. So, like I said, that is that first video. Let's get over into the second one. We can actually see his face and see what they're talking about. Let's jump over into that.
10 days after the brawl in downtown Cincinnati, the fifth person charged in that fight is in court. 38-year-old Patrick Rosemond appeared in court in Atlanta after being arrested there yesterday on charges of felonious assault and aggravated riot.
Meanwhile, Cincinnati City Council's Public Safety and Governance Committee met today.
So,
they looked at several.
As we can see
yesterday,
pause it right here. So Patrick Rosemond, he is the man caught down in Georgia who we all saw hit that girl. So this is who the man, they finally caught him. But let's see what it all was talking about. So we got a little article we're going to look at to break it down a little bit more to see exactly how he was caught. So let's jump over right into that, see what it's talking about. So as you can see, let me make this window bigger so everybody can see it. And get a zoom in so we can all see what we're talking about. So let's break it down. Rosemond, 38, was arrested in Fulton County, Georgia on August 4th with the help of an FBI task force based out of Atlanta. According to Cincinnati police spokesman Lieutenant Jonathan Cunningham, Fulton County jail records show that he was still in custody in Georgia as of 1 p.m. August 5th. The extradition process to bring Rosemond back to Cincinnati is underway. A spokesman with Fulton County Sheriff's Office said Rosemond waived his extradition hearing, and in order allowing Ohio authorities to get him will be sent August 5th. So Rosemond had prior convictions in Hamilton County dating back to 2005 when he was convicted of cocaine trafficking. He also had weapons convictions in 2013. Most recent court documents list his address in the reading. So Rosemond joins all these other guys: Merriweather, Jermaine, Derica. See, all these some. I'm not gonna, like always, I'm apologizing if I'm saying the names incorrectly. As those who have been charged in connection with the July 26 fight near the corner of 4th and Elm Street. Police are still looking for one remaining suspect. So this is the woman. Absolutely crazy, but that is the woman that went through all that, got hit, looked like she was about to die, but I don't feel any anger or hatred about what happened. They should serve time in jail, but I'm praying for them. Holly said, of the people who hit her, I hope they learn to control their rage and change their lives. Anyone who witnessed this incident is asked to contact the police. So, absolutely crazy. But that man is finally locked up. That was the main one who I really wanted to be. At the end of the day, everyone who struck anybody, the Russian white man who slapped them, and everybody who jumped in, all of them should be arrested, is my thinking. I mean, hey, if you touch somebody, it's assault. So especially if you touch them or hit them anyway, assault. So there's no need to even think about it. But at the end of the day, this was probably the worst thing I've seen, was just that woman getting hit like that, and her head hitting the ground, and it was scary. Just scary to watch the video. But like always, do your own research. Tell me your opinions. But we had to talk about that because that was the main man who, it was very scary what we was looking at. But like always, tell me your thoughts. Do you disagree with any things I said? Do you, and then always, do you think it was a hate crime, or do you think it was just a brawl, a awful fight, or jumping more, I should say. It's not, I don't really think it's a fight. It's more like a jumping, but absolutely crazy. That is wild. Absolutely wild. So the next thing we're going to get over into, we got so much crazy things happening in the world today that, hey, we gotta review. We gotta look up and see what it's all talking about. But next thing we're looking at is, the Tennessee manhunt. So the quadruple murderer was caught and arrested. So let's jump right over into that and see him. So we got a couple of videos to catch us all up, but it's finally caught, the quadruple murderer who abandoned the baby. But let's jump right into that and see what we're talking about. Jump into it.
Tonight, the intensifying search for the suspect accused in the gruesome killing of a Tennessee family of 4, allegedly kidnapping and then abandoning their infant last week. Authorities believe Austin Drummond knew the family and is still in the area, charging 4 other people in connection with the crime, 3 of them believed to have helped him get away. A $17,000 reward now being offered for tips that lead to an arrest. And in Montana, in a separate case, hundreds of officers searching for Michael Brown, who authorities say shot and killed 4 people Friday at his neighborhood bar.
By all indications, this is an unstable individual who walked in and murdered 4 people in cold blood for no reason whatsoever.
Authorities say Brown was a regular at the Owl Bar and likely knew all 4 victims. Officials releasing this image saying he'd shed most of his clothes and fled the scene.
We have a visual of someone on Ash Street.
He allegedly stole a vehicle with camping gear and may now be hiding in the mountains.
We are acting under the assumption that he is alive, well.
So that is so we got the next video going to a little bit more detail about how he was caught. Let's jump over into it.
Welcome to NBC News Daily this Tuesday. We're going to start with breaking news. Quadruple murder suspect Austin Drummond is in custody after an intense days-long manhunt in Tennessee.
So Vicki, Drummond was wanted for the killings of 4 people, all members of the same family. A baby also related to the victims was found alive and abandoned in a nearby front yard. This all happening a week ago in a wooded area north of Memphis.
Drummond faces 4 counts of first-degree murder and aggravated kidnapping, as well as a number of firearms-related charges. Investigators say the suspect had a close relationship with the victims, with one relative saying Drummond was, quote, nothing short of amazing to us.
Wow. NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson joining us now. Priscilla, no doubt a tense night for those who were sheltering in place. How were authorities finally able to track him down?
Yeah, Sam, Vicki, definitely a tense night for those folks out in Nashville, Tennessee, where this suspect had last been spotted. And we know that U.S. Marshals did take the 28-year-old into custody this morning. And a lot of it probably had to do with this surveillance video that was released on Sunday, where the suspect was seen in the Nashville area in a camo jacket with a rifle. It seemed like he was trying to enter a building, but obviously police were paying very close attention to that surveillance video. And here we are now on Tuesday with them having captured this suspect, but certainly tense.
So first thing, so you never know. That's the main thing. You never know what the cameras are doing. You never know where the cameras are. And it is crazy that they can just be anywhere, but it's good for us, good for our public safety. That's the main thing. Need more cameras out there because a lot of crazy things that happen, and with more cameras, you can find the suspect quicker. But let's keep going into this video.
This suspect, but certainly tense for the people living in that area who were told to be on high alert, lock their doors, lock their windows as this suspect was in the area. And that's because he is accused of killing 4 people. Matthew Wilson, a 21-year-old, Adriana Williams, 20 years old, Courtney Rose, 38 years old, and the youngest, Braden Williams, just 15. But as you all mentioned, he did appear to save that infant baby, leaving that baby about 40 miles away from where those other bodies were recovered. Now, police have not yet said how these 4 people died, or, of course, the big question, the motive, why this happened. But with this suspect now in custody, it appears that we may begin to get more information about that, as police are saying they do not believe that this was a random attack, but that it was, in fact, targeted.
We thank you for watching, and remember.
Now here's a question. What is there a good reason why you would kill 4 people? Let's be honest about that. Is there a good reason why you would kill 4 people and leave the baby? You left the baby outside. I don't know where he left the baby 40 miles away, which Oh my God. Maybe he was thinking that it would be found quicker instead of just being at the house, but abandoning the baby, you don't know what could have happened to the baby. You don't know what could have happened. And now, it's over with. Now you have 4 people dead. The baby's family's dead. Hopefully it's got some hopefully it's with some family and not in the foster care system, because it was oh my God. It's a horrible situation. And he's going to be in jail. No matter the motive, he's in jail for the rest of his life. He's in jail for the rest of his life. There's nothing else to say about it. It is a cold world out here, and there are some horrible people. I don't care what the motivation is. I don't care what the motive is. Yes, it's good to know. Yes, it's good to know the murder, but at the end of the day, he killed 4 people. There's no way you felt. You felt the only way. Like I said, I've always said this. There is only one reason why you should act in deadly force, and that is in self-defense. If you feel like your life is threatened, then I can't see any reason why he would have felt like his life was threatened in that way, where he needed to kill 4 people. 4 people. There's nothing else to say about that. It's absolutely no. There's no need for it. No need for it at all. But like I said, tell me your thoughts. How long it took them a while to find him. A couple of days where they were searching for him. Maybe golly, how long was he out? Let's see. See, it's always good to do your own research. Tennessee. So how long was he on the run? Let's see. Super was found in Tennessee residence. Let's see. The crime. A week. So he was after a week. Yep, after a week on the run. Absolutely crazy. I need to go ahead and so we can get you already know we like to see what he looks like. Looks toe up. Absolutely crazy. But wow. But like always, tell me your thoughts on any of the things we said. It's a scary world out here. So, but absolutely scary. Now, the next thing we're going to get over into, the next thing, we got to look at, the 14-year-old who killed his parents. So the first time we looked at this in the last live stream, I haven't uploaded the broken down video because I knew we wanted to see the picture of him. So yeah, they actually released his picture. So we're going to go back and rewatch the police conference video. And then we're also going to break down another video so we can actually see him and you hear his friend talking about it. So without further ado, let's jump right over into that and see what it's talking about. So let's that. And let's get into it.
Sheriff Michelle Cook here from Clay County, and I am here this morning to report some just terribly tragic news. Just after midnight this morning, our 911 communications center received a call from a young man who stated he had just killed his parents. He stated that deputies could find his parents at the house and that he had walked just over a mile away to a church and he would await for deputies to take him into custody. Deputies responded immediately to both locations, the church and then to a home on out here in the Middleburg area. When deputies arrived to the church, they took 14-year-old Trevor Lee into custody. When almost simultaneously deputies arrived to the address in question, they found 2 deceased individuals inside, David Lee, 44 years of age, and Brandy Smith, 45 years of age. Both of the deceased appeared to have gunshot wounds. Based upon our preliminary investigation, and we're still very early in this investigation, it appears that there was some sort of domestic argument last night between Trevor Lee and his parents, and that this shooting culminated from that argument. This does appear to be an isolated incident, and we have no further threat to our community at this time. Again, this is a very active scene. Our detectives are working diligently to try to figure all of this out. We do want to extend our deepest sympathies to the family, the friends, and all of those who are affected by this heartbreaking incident. And we would like to ask anybody in the community that may have some information regarding Trevor Lee or his parents to please reach out to us at 904-264-6512. And with that, I will take any questions.
Did the teen have any prior mental health history? Anything like, visiting the guidance office?
I said this before. He asked if the teen had any mental health issues. Well, I can't say that because we don't know if he was abused or anything like that. But we're gonna get into it later. But they were sleeping in their bed, so I don't see any. It's a wild situation. Killing both your parents while they're sleeping in bed. I don't know if you can just blame that on mental health issues. Well, let's keep going.
School or any therapy, any Baker Acts?
That we're looking into that. That's going to be part of the investigation. You think about this just happened at midnight last night, just after midnight, and we're here early Monday morning. So all of that is going to be looked at. His history at school, any previous contacts, we don't know right now, but that'll be part of the investigative process.
Just going by names alone, biological dad, do we have a relation with the woman?
I believe these are both his biological parents at this time. I know the father is for sure.
Just with different names, I was curious.
Correct.
Was it the parents' gun or was it the kid's gun?
At this time, we believe it's going to be the parents' gun, but we're still, again, looking into that through, talking to him, finding out where the gun was, how he got a hold of the gun, how did he know the gun was there. The gun was recovered at the scene. He left the gun at the scene when he walked to the church to call 911.
Were they both shot just one single time, and if so, where?
That I do not know. Again, part of the investigative process.
And additionally, was there anyone else in the home, maybe a sibling who was obviously not harmed but was just in the home?
At this time, it appears that only Trevor and his parents were in the home when this incident occurred.
Anyone else?
Anything else? Again, appreciate you guys coming out, and just, again, if any citizens have any information about Trevor Lee, please give us a call, 904-264-6512, or send us a Safer Watch tip. Thank you.
Real quick, do you know if you've had any incidents at the home? Have you guys ever had to respond to the home?
I don't know the answer to that yet. That's going to be part of the investigative process. Listen, we're still early, very early.
Yep, so we got the gist of what happened. So let's jump right over into the next video where we can actually get to see his face and see what he's looking like. So let's jump right over into it. So as you can see from the first image, this is the 14-year-old who killed his parents while they're sleeping. So let's jump right over into that and jump into this video.
We're seeing the face of the teen who stands accused of killing his parents. 14-year-old Trevor Lee facing 2 counts of second-degree murder. And for the first time tonight, we're hearing his voice in the newly released 911 dispatch recording. I want to warn you, hearing the call may be disturbing.
You first?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, I'll listen to you. Well, I was going to ask if you could pray for me, ma'am. Right now, I'll definitely be praying for you, son.
Investigators say Lee was outside a church when he dialed 911.
Let's pause it for a second. I'm not going to pause it too much so we can get through everything, but asking the dispatch lady to pray for you, yeah, you know you did something wrong. Yeah, I mean, we could already tell when he called the police on himself, went to the church, and then called the police, and they, you asked the dispatcher to pray for you. Yeah, you know you did something wrong. You're going to jail for a long time. Maybe we'll get a motive. I don't know, but is there a motive for killing both your parents? We'll see, but it didn't sound like he was abused or anything, but we never know. We never know. So let's jump right over. Let's keep going.
And reported himself. He stayed on the phone until deputies got to his location and took him into custody.
News4JAX reporter Eric Avenez here in studio with us with more on this new information he obtained in this case. Eric?
Yeah, we were able to acquire a lot more information than what we had yesterday when we first reported this story. Now, we now know where in the house the parents were killed and the extent of their fatal injuries. We also found out that the 14-year-old called his aunt in California before he called 911 to turn himself in. Just one day after 44-year-old David Lee and 45-year-old Brandy Smith were found shot to death inside their Silver Oak subdivision home in Middleburg, News4JAX has learned the couple was in their bed when they were shot multiple times. Both were pronounced deceased when paramedics arrived. Investigators identified the killer as the couple's son, 14-year-old Trevor Lee. After the parents were murdered, Lee called his aunt in California. She then called Clay County 911 dispatch. What her nephew told her was redacted from the 911 recording.
They're in the house. Please, 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 please. Send help immediately. Ambulance, whatever, immediately.
The teen traveled to a nearby church parking lot and called 911. He stayed on the line until deputies arrived to take him into custody.
I'm by the road. I threw my backpack away from me. I'm stripped. I'm waiting for police. What do you mean you're stripped? I have nothing in my pocket. I emptied my pockets and everything. There's nothing in my pockets.
While most of his conversation with...
So he said that he was stretched. So I'm assuming he meant, yeah, he was stretched out on the ground. So yeah, he knew that he wanted to at least be taken into custody without getting beat up or anything like that. He wasn't going to try to fight. It doesn't sound like, but wow, let's keep going.
While most of his conversation with the dispatcher was redacted, we hear him ask the dispatcher to pray for him.
You pray?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, I'll listen to you. Well, I was going to ask if you could pray for me, ma'am. Right now, I'll definitely be praying for you, son.
These parents are dead in their bed.
Retired JSO Director of Investigations turned News4JAX crime and safety analyst Tom Hackney says this was no doubt a heinous crime carried out by a kid, but he also says the fact that the teen called 911 to surrender himself says something.
Instant remorse. When you hear the sound of his voice and you hear kind of what he's going through, aside from the redacted part, you hear some instant remorse. And I think that's kind of bolstered by the fact that he left the scene and goes immediately to call 911 and turn himself in.
Now, the 14-year-old remains in custody at the Regional Juvenile Detention Center in Jacksonville. So far, he has not been charged as an adult.
So as we can see, it's absolutely wild. Now, I will say, so we do have, so hold on, I thought I had included this video with it. There is a video of his best friend talking about it. So let's go right over into that and see what his best friend had to say. So let's jump right over into this.
Murder investigation in Clay County. A 14-year-old boy is in custody, accused of killing his own parents at their Middleburg home, then walking to a church to call 911. Tonight, someone who called that family his own is speaking with News4JAX about this tragic loss.
They were probably the best or one of the best families I knew. They were funny and they treated me very well. They told me all the time that they loved me like a son and they treated me as such.
Wow.
The Clay County Sheriff's Office says David Lee and Brandy Smith were shot and killed. A family member sharing this photo of the couple with us.
Their 14-year-old son, Trevor Lee, is charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder. The shooting happened at a home in the area of Silver Point and County Road 220 in Middleburg. News4JAX reporter Alicia Hatcher is there gathering details and speaking with one of Trevor Lee's close friends.
Kyrie Beeman says he was at this house nearly every week and considered the Lee family as his own. He says he and Trevor played football together, and just this past Friday, Trevor and his dad, David Lee, gave him a ride to and from practice. And now Kyrie is still trying to separate the friend he grew up with from the crime he's accused of.
I just didn't think it was real.
Kyrie Beeman, now standing outside of a home he once considered a second home, still trying to process the unthinkable. The Clay County Sheriff says a 14-year-old boy called 911 saying he had just killed his parents, then walked to a nearby church to wait for deputies. That teen was Trevor Lee, Kyrie Beeman's
So
best
we already
friend.
have his picture.
He was funny, charismatic. He always brought good energy, good vibes, and he was probably one of the best people I knew.
Kyrie says he and Trevor had been friends since elementary school, and they spoke on the phone just after midnight.
He told me that he loved me, and he told me that he was just calling to tell me goodnight.
Now Kyrie is asking the community not to judge his friend by this one moment alone. Kyrie tells me he's going to continue to push forward for Mr. Lee, Brandy, and even Trevor. For Now Reporting, Alicia Hatcher, Channel 4.
So he said that don't judge his friend off this one moment alone. I mean, that's pretty hard to say, but here's a thought. Here's a thought. I might be wrong, but is it normal? Because I don't remember when I was 14 calling my friend, wishing him, telling him I love him, and late at night after midnight, and wishing him a good night. But was he trying to? Did he already have it planned in his mind what he was going to do the next day? Or was he just calling his friend just to tell him? I don't remember doing that as a kid, 14-year-old kid calling my best friend, tell him, that wasn't what I was doing. But that's a question. Did he already have this planned in his mind? But everything that the best friend said, all of that says it was a good home. Like like I said, we can't judge from the outside looking in because we don't know what was happening when the doors is closed, when nobody's around. But it's a tragic situation. Very tragic. The parents were, let's pull up an image of the parents real quick. You see the parents, good looking couple, biological parents. I don't know. I don't know a reason unless he was being abused. But you can't say self-defense or anything like that because they were sleeping in their beds. There's nothing else you can say about that. You can't use a self-defense tactic because at the end of the day, they were sleeping in their beds. But like I said, like I always say, tell me what your thoughts are. Tell me if you disagree with any of the things I said. Do you think it was a mental health issue? Or do you think he was just tired of, some people are saying he was tired of just being told what to do, but we never know what was actually happening inside the home. We don't know. I would like to believe that something wrong was happening inside the home that made him do this, but he might be a bad kid. We don't know that. We truly don't know that, but let me know your thoughts and we'll talk about it. See if you disagree with any of the things I said. Absolutely crazy. Now we're going to pivot over into Georgia. So in Fort Stewart, there was a shooting yesterday, or was it maybe 2 days ago? But we're going to get into that videos and see what our thoughts are and what all was happening. Shooting up a military base is a wild thing, very wild thing, but we've seen people do a lot of wild things throughout this channel, so it's not surprising anymore. But that is. But let's jump over into this and see what it's talking about.
We're getting new updates on the active shooter situation at Fort Stewart Army Post in Georgia. A suspect is in custody with as many as 5 people injured. Joining us on the phone, Fox News contributor and retired NYPD inspector Paul Morrow. Paul, thank you for joining us. Look, this Army base covers nearly 280,000 acres. What does that kind of containment look like? We know the suspect is in custody, but what would that protocol look like as a lockdown is called into place and an active shooter on the loose?
Well, the first thing to recognize is the jurisdiction here is federal, right? So it's going to be an internal thing right from the get-go, with Army CID having the ticket on the investigation. So the response that you're talking about, that'll be authorities that are on the base. They'll have protocols. They'll even have protocols worked out with the local police. There'll be these mutual agreements that they have as to who responds to what. Sometimes they work together if there is a hook outside the base. Let's say somebody's running narcotics into the base or something like that. These bases are huge. They're like mini cities. And so they have to work all this stuff out ahead of time. And they get these kinds of cases. But in the investigatory stage, as I said, it'll go likely to CID unless we have an instance of terrorism, in which case the FBI, by presidential executive order, it goes over to the FBI. And all of this matters because, you know, we've seen this kind of thing before. 2009, during the real sort of heyday of the metastasization of Al-Qaeda, we had the Fort Hood shooting, Major Nadal. And I raised that just to pinpoint maybe how lucky we were in this instance, because on an Army base, you have very heavy weaponry. You have really heavy ordnances, and these people are trained to shoot to kill. That's what soldiers do. Yeah. And in that case, we had 13 fatalities and over 30 wounded, including some of the local cops who responded and were completely outgunned. That was a case of terrorism. The Obama administration didn't want to classify it as such. It went down as workplace violence, and there was a lot of hubbub about it. I was working counterterrorism at the time and was quite incredulous, and that was a story, a case that we studied very closely. So all of these vectors are blowing through this thing. When you see something like this, if you're sitting where I am, having done that kind of work, you think, is it a terrorism incident? Is it something that could have been interdicted? Was there some indicia ahead of time that maybe there was some psychological issues? All of these are after effects, obviously. These are things that you think about in retrospect, because the most important thing, of course, as you say, is to lock it down, make sure life and limb are preserved, that everybody is safe, and that you interdict the immediate threat.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, there's nothing. The main thing, the first thing is lock it down and handle the immediate threat. You can think about all the other stuff later if there's an active shooter or anything like that, especially on any kind of base, any kind of building. But lock it down. Don't worry about the reasoning. You want to just make sure you protect the people. That is the main thing. But let's keep going into this.
Emily, we do have some new information on the people shot. So I want to jump into that. There have been 5 soldiers who were shot today in this active shooter incident in the 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team area. All soldiers were treated on site and moved to Wynn Army Community Hospital for further treatment. There is no active threat to the community. Law enforcement was dispatched for the possible shooting in the 2nd, what I just called Armored Brigade Combat Team area. And Emily gave the timeline a little while ago, and so we know how quickly this moved. So that was at 10:56 a.m. local, then 11:35 a.m. they apprehended the suspected shooter. The installation was locked down 11:04, and Fort Stewart has now lifted the lockdown of the main containment area, and that happened a few minutes ago, actually. We were waiting for this press release to come out, and so we could see some things that were unconfirmed, and now we can put those on the record. The area of the shooting, that 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team area, remains on lockdown at this point. But the main cantonment, I should say, area is lifted from the lockdown. So people, emergency medical personnel are dispatched to treat the wounded. There's some movement now on base, that sort of thing. I still don't know, and Paul, maybe you and Emily will talk about this, about being able to go in and off that base, because the front gates aren't really being talked about much. But the term you were using, CID, the U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Command, it's interesting. A lot of this was handled internally, including their injuries. So Paul and Emily, just as you were saying.
So let's get over into the next video, and so we can actually see the suspect and see who was shooting.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Angel Tomko. That's spelled A-N-G-E-L. Last name is Tomko, T-O-M-K-O. And I'm the spokesperson for the 3rd Infantry Division. Today we're here to discuss the incident that took place earlier today on the north side of Fort Stewart installation at the 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team footprint. In just a moment, I'm going to introduce you to Brigadier General John Lubis. That's spelled J-O-N E.26 Lubas, L-U-B-A-S. He's the commanding general of the 3rd Infantry Division. Brigadier General Lubas will make a statement regarding the incident and take a few brief questions. Before we begin, however, I'd like to go over just a couple things with you. We have limited time for questions given that this is an ongoing investigation, and we may not have all the information that we can share, but we will try to be as transparent as possible. We will not release the name of any victims until the next of kin notification has been complete. We will not speculate as to any intentions, motives, or backstories, given that this is an ongoing investigation. When you ask your questions, we ask that you please give your name and the affiliation in case we need to do a follow-up. And it's a little hard to hear, so please speak up so that General Lubas can hear you and that you can hear him. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I will now turn it over to General Lubas.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us. This morning, shortly before 11 o'clock, an active duty soldier assigned to Fort Stewart, Georgia, shot and wounded 5 of his fellow soldiers here on Fort Stewart. Thankfully, all are in stable condition and all are expected to recover.
That's the main thing.
The alleged shooter is in custody. We have reestablished security. I have lifted all lockdown measures on Fort Stewart, and there is currently no threat to the local community. I'd like to recognize and thank our Army law enforcement and medical personnel and our partners from local, state, and federal law enforcement and emergency services for their quick response and support. I would also like to thank the brave soldiers who immediately intervened and subdued the shooter. These soldiers, without a doubt, prevented further casualties. Our wounded soldiers were initially evacuated to Wynn Army Community Hospital right here on Fort Stewart. All arrived in stable condition, and 3 of the 5 required surgical intervention. 2 have been transported to Memorial Hospital in Savannah, Georgia for additional care. We have identified the alleged shooter as Sergeant Cornelius Radford, an automated logistics sergeant assigned to 2nd Brigade Combat Team. Sergeant Radford has not previously deployed to combat. Sergeant Radford has been interviewed by the Army Criminal Investigation Division and is currently in pretrial confinement, awaiting a charging decision by the Office of the Special Trial Counsel. Right now, our primary focus is first on caring for our injured soldiers and their families, and also supporting the soldiers of the Spartan Brigade. All of the families of the victims have been notified, and we're wrapping our arms around them and ensuring we provide them all the support that we can. Before I take questions, I want to remind you that this is an ongoing investigation and we're still gathering questions. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll now take your questions.
General Lewis from the Coastal News. Can you give us his what unit he was assigned to and how long he served in the Army, if you didn't mention that?
Yeah, he is assigned to one of our sustainment units here in 2nd Brigade Combat Team at Fort Stewart. And I will have to confirm how long he served with us. Yes, sir.
Sergeant Russ Bynum with the Associated Press. As best you can, knowing it's so early, can you walk us through where this happened, what happened, the shooting, and were the victims subordinates of the sergeants, or were they people over him in rank?
Yeah, right now it's premature, and we're gathering a lot of the information. What we know is this soldier, the shooting occurred at the soldier's place of work. It did involve his co-workers. We're still not certain about the motivations, but again, he's been interviewed by Army investigators, and we believe.
So it happened with his co-workers. Absolutely crazy. Let's keep going.
We'll gain more information here shortly.
We've heard that the shooter.
Yes, ma'am.
WSAB, do you know if this was any kind of training exercise, or were they cleaning any weapons, anything that you know so far?
No, ma'am. We don't have any reason to believe it had anything to do with a training event. Other than that, I can't state the motivations for this soldier.
We've heard that the shooter may have been from Jacksonville, Florida. Are you able to confirm that? We also heard that he had maybe been arrested for a DUI recently.
Yeah, at this point, I can't confirm where he's from. We can follow up on that. I do believe he was arrested locally for a DUI that was unknown to his chain of command until the event occurred, and we started looking into the law enforcement databases.
Robin, now from the current, can you tell us whether or not that was a military weapon or whether this was a personal weapon that the person brought on base?
Yes, ma'am. I can confirm it was not a military weapon, and we believe it was a personal handgun.
Oh, wow. So he brought his own personal handgun into the military base and started killing shooting at his coworker. He didn't kill nobody, but wow.
Yes, sir.
Savannah Morning News. What does this mean for ongoing security measures that this situation was able to occur with a personal weapon?
Yeah, I'm very confident in the security of this installation. We've got a great partnership with local law enforcement. As you can see here at our gates, we have armed guards in protective equipment. This one's a bit difficult. And we're going to have to determine how he was able to get a handgun to his place of duty.
Alicia, what news for Jags? Has the suspect had any prior disciplinary or behavioral issues on base?
No, ma'am, not that we're aware of. But again, it's early in the investigation, but not that I'm currently aware of.
I know that. You mentioned that some soldiers helped subdue him. Do you know if his arrest ultimately needs to render clear? What's his arrest involved?
I don't have the details on that, but I know that his soldiers in the area that witnessed the shooting immediately and without hesitation tackled the soldiers, subdued him, that allowed law enforcement to then take him into custody.
And we've got time for one more question.
I know that you can't speak to the motivation, but, you know, if this turns out to be some situation where somebody had extremist beliefs or maybe classified as a terrorist attack, I mean, how does that change the base's response or the base's investigation moving forward?
Yeah, currently we have no reason to believe any of that is the case. However, we continuously assess the threat environment, both in the immediate area and across our Army and DoD installations, and we will address the threat level accordingly.
You have the rank of the shooter?
Yes, sir. He was a sergeant.
Okay, so we have learned, so as we can go ahead and pull up his picture again. So he brought to Fort Stewart, so all that says, he brought his own weapon to Fort Stewart and started shooting at his coworkers and shot 5 of them. Luckily, no one was hurt. I would like to hear what his thinking was. I don't know if whenever they released that, if he had any motive. That's a good question. But like I said, like I've said before with the 14-year-old, motive, yes, it's good to know, but the actions speak very louder than words. So he shot 5 of his coworkers when he wasn't threatened with his life. So end of the day, he needs to go to jail. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He needs to go to jail. But if you disagree with anything I said, let me know. Tell me your thoughts. Do you have an idea? You can give your guesses if you have an idea of what was happening, why he would have shot him. It's just going to be out of the blue until we learn anything. But hey, we can always talk about it. I can't think of any reason of why you go shoot, unless you're upset with your job. Something happened where you was upset with your job. That's the only thing I can think about, or any kind of reasoning. But at the end of the day, it's a guess. If anything we say now until we hear the actual motives. So, but wow, shooting 5 of your coworkers and bringing your own gun to do it. I mean, that's Jesus. Absolutely tragic. Absolutely tragic. Now, the next thing we get into, we're gonna. This was I wasn't expecting to see this pop up on my news feed, but in Florida, an infant was killed by on the mother's birthday. Yes, I said it. An infant was killed by a dog on the mother's birthday. So let's jump over into that and see what that whole situation was about.
I can't imagine how anybody in his family feels.
A baby attacked and killed by a dog. We're hearing how this happened. And outside of the home where that happened is this sign. It reads, "Crazy dogs live here. Do not knock. Things will get ugly." I'm Luann Sorrell.
And I'm John Brown. The sheriff says the 5-month-old baby was found in the bedroom with that Great Dane Husky mix sitting right next to him. Fox 35's Chris Lindsay is live outside the home there in Ormond Beach. So, Chris, what are investigators telling you?
It's a family dog, y'all. It is a family dog. A family dog ended up killing the baby. Let's get into it. I'm not gonna stop it too much, but I just had to say that. It's crazy.
This hour.
Well, the sheriff said this house is the great aunt of the parents, and it was her dog. The baby was inside of a bedroom that has one of those door handles that you push down to open up. Now, this is a big dog, and detectives believe it opened the door and attacked.
What was meant to be a night of celebration ended in unimaginable grief.
Every young mother will remember on her birthday that her child is dead. And
the Volusia County Sheriff choked up telling the story of 5-month-old Carter. On Wednesday night, his parents left him with their great-grandmother and great-aunt.
And they go out to dinner to celebrate Mom's birthday.
The little boy was being fussy, the sheriff says, so
they put him in a bedroom, they close the door, and then the great-aunt allows her 3 dogs out of the cage.
The two then went to make tea.
And when they return, they notice that the bedroom door is open.
Inside, the baby was next to their 130-pound Great Dane Husky mix, bleeding and unresponsive.
This is extremely, extremely heartbreaking.
The boy's parents got back while their great-grandmother was on the phone with 911. They rushed him to a hospital in Daytona Beach, but Carter didn't make it.
I can't imagine how anybody in his family feels.
The attack is under investigation.
It is difficult because any dog has the potential of, doing some harm, whether it's through aggression or any other means.
Though the sheriff says up to this point,
I don't believe in my heart that the great aunt and the great grandmother wanted to do anything like that.
He doesn't believe a crime was committed.
According to Animal Services, because this was a fatal attack, it's more than likely a matter of when, not if, the dog will be euthanized. Reporting live in Ormond Beach, Chris Lindsay.
Absolutely crazy. So the dog opened the door. It ended up killing the baby. God, I don't know if it was aggression or anything like that. Jesus, absolutely. That is... We got to pray, like always, we got to pray for the family because the great aunt and great uncle, I'm assuming that's what they said, but they are teared up about it because their dog killed their nephew. Yes. And then the parents devastated, thinking if you done something, thinking they did something wrong by just leaving the kid there. God, why would you? Oh. I know they didn't mean to, but you close the door because the baby's fussy. And then you let the dogs out. And the dog has the ability to open the door? Why would you even let the dog out? I'm assuming, because it's their dog, so I'm assuming that they knew that it had the ability to open the door. Unless that's my thinking, that most pet owners, if your dog can open doors. I mean, and if it's done it before. So you let the dog out and you go about your day. You go and make some tea is what they said. Go and make some tea and you come back and the child has been killed. Yeah, but like they said, accident or not, the dog ended up killing an infant. So it's going to have to be euthanized. It has to. I mean, I don't think you can't get around that. We don't know if it was just an angry attack out of the moment or if it was just an accident trying to play with it. Dogs do the little playing thing. They might accidentally try to, I don't know what. Well, but I can't imagine the grief that the family is feeling right now. Absolutely crazy. And to have, where is it at? Where's the wheel? There it is. Crazy dog. See, they have crazy dogs live here. Do not knock. Yeah, my godly. You have to be careful with your babies, especially around animals. That's the first fact of it. You have to be careful. But I'm assuming, well, see, these are just, I'm just assuming now. I'm assuming that the baby has been left with them before. I pray that this wasn't the first time they left the baby with the great aunt, and this has happened. Golly, they had to have left the baby, and she probably did the same things before. It was just this one time where she let the dogs out, and ended up going through, and it ended up something tragic happened. Now the baby is gone, and the dog is going to have to be put down. Golly. I couldn't imagine. I can't imagine the anger I would feel at the great aunt, even though I know it. Well, would you blame her? Yeah. I'll blame her. I would. Would it be right to blame her? I don't know. But in my heart, I would think that I would blame her. Absolutely crazy. Let's.
Parents left him with their great-grandmother and great-aunt.
Okay, so great-grandmother and great-aunt. Okay.
Go out to dinner to celebrate mom's birthday.
The little boy was being fussy, the sheriff says, so
they put him in a bedroom, they close the door, and then the great-aunt allows her 3 dogs out of the cage.
The two then went to make tea.
And when they return, they notice that the bedroom door is open.
Inside, the baby was laying next to their 130-pound Great Dane Husky mix, bleeding and unresponsive.
This is extremely, extremely heartbreaking.
The boy's parents got back while their great-grandmother was on the phone with 911.
You come back after a birthday date, and you come back to your infant 5-month-old son dead by a dog. Oh my God, I can't imagine. Truly can't imagine what would be going through my mind. Yeah, tell me your thoughts. Would you blame? I'm assuming I would blame the great aunt. And if you disagree with, well, no, I don't know anybody who would disagree with the dog being put down. But if you are, tell me about it. Why do you disagree with the dog being put down? Even if it was an accident, at the end of the day, the dog ended up killing the baby. Golly, that's crazy. We've watched a lot of dog-related incidents, just maulings. And I think this is the third one. The third one that we've watched where the dog is killed. And this time it was a baby. No, it was 4th. Got to remember all the streams I've done. Jesus Christ. Absolutely crazy. Not something I would expect to see, but absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. Now we got to pivot. We got to pivot over to San Francisco. So San Francisco, on a team, 15-year-old team, on the playground, ended up killed while sticking up for his sister on the playground. Young kids are getting deadlier and deadlier every single day. But let's see what that happened. Let's see what all happened and jump right into it. Because, absolutely crazy. So let's jump into it.
Pain, frustration, and anger. A mother says those are her emotions right now as she fights for answers and justice for her son, who was shot and killed 2 years ago in Hayward. KTVU's Amber Lee live tonight here in studio with more on the search for suspects. Amber?
Mike, mom is appealing to the police, the district attorney, and the community for help. She says her teenage son loved to play football and video games, his hopes and dreams stolen. She wants those responsible for killing her son to be held accountable.
Oh, they still haven't been held.
That is the portrait of Eric.
Brenda Angulo tells me she had this portrait painted of her son Eric Portillo after he was shot and killed.
I feel more like in desperation. I feel like I'm just like at a dead end, at a dead end, at a dead end, at a dead end. And I just feel that just makes me feel really afraid of like the case going cold.
Police previously released this image of suspects wearing distinctive clothing in the death of the 15-year-old on August 1st, 2023. Eric was killed near the playground in the courtyard of his apartment complex in Hayward. Mom tells me he had gotten into an argument with other young people prior to the shooting. She says the teen was standing up for his younger sister.
I just heard the shots. And then I was like, where's Eric?
Mom says Eric and an adult neighbor who was trying to help her son were both shot. The neighbor survived. 2 years have passed and no arrests.
Hold on. Let's break that down a little bit now. They said that the son, this all happened because the son was sticking up for the sister.
And then I was like, where's Eric?
And an adult neighbor who was trying to help her son were both shot. The neighbor survived. 2 years have passed and no arrests.
No arrests.
Sometimes I get really tired because I feel like I'm all alone.
Hayward police offered their condolences to Eric's family and said in a written statement, "We recognize the pain and unanswered questions they continue to face. The investigation into Eric's death remains open and ongoing. While the previously assigned detective has been reassigned, a new detective is actively reviewing all case materials to determine the next steps."
Come on, sing it.
Mom shared this video of Eric celebrating his last birthday. He was about to start his sophomore year at Kennedy High School in Fremont, where he was a football player for the junior varsity team.
This is where his remains lay in my home. I say good morning and I say good night to him every day.
After Eric was killed, Angulo moved away from Hayward. Photos and other items in remembrance of Eric are present in the family's new home.
The anger keeps me going to fight for him, for his justice. That's what the anger is doing.
Mom says the family's attorney obtained images of this vehicle that was allegedly used by the suspects. She's urging anyone who has information to contact Hayward police. She started an online fundraiser in hopes of hiring a private investigator and offering a reward to help solve this case. Mike?
Absolutely crazy.
Amber Lee live tonight in.
Absolutely crazy. Yeah, we gotta. 2 years? It's been 2 years and they still haven't determined who the people are. Golly. And all sticking up for his sister. So he was a great big brother. Golly. You never know what can happen. I'm glad he stuck up for his sister and protected her. But a young teen has lost his life. 15 years old. And they still haven't found the suspects after 2 years. Yeah, I am happy to see the mother is still going and fighting for it, because that's the only way you can. Because I feel like if you forget about it, it will slip through the cracks. The police got a lot of cases going on. If you're not on top of it, it might get pushed to the back. Now I might be wrong, but that is what I feel, that you need to stay on the case, especially if it's something to do with your loved one. Because so much terrible things happen every day that it's sad to say, but things like this can get pushed to the back of the pile. And new information is not going to be collected because they have so many other things going on. Absolutely crazy. I can't imagine losing my child. I'm happy he protected his sister. Golly. So much senseless violence in the world. So much senseless violence. Golly. Absolutely crazy. Wow. Now, sticking up for your sister is totally different. So this next man, totally different from what this next man that we're looking at now, he stuck up for a stranger. So we're going to jump over right into that and see what he was talking about. See what was happening and what was going on.
First here at 4, though, we have a Fox 5 exclusive. Fighting through tears, a Maryland mother making an emotional plea, demanding justice for her son after he was fatally shot overnight outside a D.C. hotel.
And new details emerging this evening about the circumstances that led up to that shooting and his heroic efforts to protect those from the gunman. Fox 5's Tisha Lewis joining us live from Riverdale tonight with more. Tisha?
You can see the cluster of cars behind me over my right shoulder. Family from all over coming to the victim's family's home. The family members telling us and identifying the victim as 28-year-old Akeem Torre. They tell us he leaves behind a younger sister and also his mother. They also tell us that his father passed away a couple of years ago. They go on to say he likely never saw the bullet coming.
So I have the mom here, of course, and, you know, she lost the dad a long time ago. So Akeem has been the man of the house, you know, taking care of his mother and his little sister. And he's a really good guy.
Yeah. Justice for my son.
And they took away
justice for my son.
So important to this family. Somebody that is like the head help of this family, is the leader of this family.
Justice for my son. Those are really the only words Felinda Peters-John could manage to get out less than 24 hours after she says her son, Akeem Torre, was fatally shot on New Jersey Avenue Northwest last night. In fact, they say he died saving a complete stranger from harm's way. Family members say Torre stepped in to protect a woman who was a stranger before being shot outside the Yotel Hotel. The shooting reportedly took place in a parking garage. Family members say Torre worked in the IT field and was working to develop new apps. By Monday morning and afternoon, the family members poured into the family's home in Riverdale. We're told the family is from Sierra Leone in southern Africa.
Now, oh my God! I will say, because it's golly, you have to be careful. You truly have to be careful, because it's totally different from the sister situation. Because at the end of the day, I'm not trying to be harsh or anything, but you don't know the woman, and you don't know what can happen if you don't have a means to protect. Now, we don't know if he had a means to protect himself or not. They say he didn't see the bullet coming, but when you're jumping into a situation like that, especially, you never know what can happen. And I've seen it so many times, different videos. This is just different videos watching of men stepping up to protect women, which, yes, is a good thing to protect the woman if she's in a situation, but then they turn around and end up getting jumped or beat or shot because they stepped into a situation they had nothing to do with to protect the woman. Should we stop protecting women? No, I don't think that, but you have to be careful. You have to be careful. Keep your head on a swivel and have some protection. Absolutely crazy. Let's keep going into this video.
This is how he was raised. As you see all the women, we were raised to respect women and fight for women. And he was such a good guy. We're talking about someone he was in IT, he was a project manager. He was really trying to build an app, taking all these courses. He didn't deserve it.
Sounds like a good man.
This is so sad, Tisha. What information do we know at this hour about a possible suspect?
Well, the suspect was reportedly driving a black sedan, potentially a black Honda. The suspect description is vague. He's being described as a man with dreadlocks, was wearing a white T-shirt and shorts at the time of the shooting.
That can be absolutely anyone. Yeah, we got to pray for the family. At the end of the day, like always, pray for the family because they lost their son. They say he was the man of the household, especially to his mother. She lost her husband years ago, it sounded like, but godly, absolutely crazy. Like I said, just be careful, especially if you're going to defend someone. Make sure you have protection. You have to be strategic and you have to be smart. Yes, we want to protect people. Yes, we want to protect the weak and the innocent. But you can't, I don't know if that's harsh to say, but you can't just willy-nilly jump into someone's argument without being able to protect yourself at least. Now, we don't know if that was the situation. It sounds like I said before, he didn't see the bullet coming. But golly, at the end of the day, make sure you're protecting yourself. It's good to stick up for people because we are good people in heart, or some people are good people at heart. If I see something going, yes, I would want to say something, but I also carry my firearm and I keep my head on a swivel. Now, anything can happen, but if you're going to jump into a situation that's a heated argument between two people, man or woman, you never know what can happen. Never. And I've seen videos of a man jumping in to help a woman who's getting hit or something like that, and he'll start swinging at the man who was doing the hitting, and next thing you know, he gets hit in the back of the head by the girl who was just getting beat up. So you have to be careful. Because there's a lot. You want to protect you want to protect the woman, yes, but you still have to make it home. Because especially, like, it's totally different for someone I know, care about, of me risking my life to jump in and protect them. But someone I don't know, have no quorums about, have no other interactions with, me jumping in and risking my life to protect them, that's totally different. But like I said, tell me your thoughts. Tell me if you disagree with anything I said. Are you fine with jumping in for a stranger no matter what? Do you carry protection in those situations? Or are you, or are you just the type where you just, hey, if I don't know them, then I'm minding my business? Tell me your thoughts. But yeah, I've seen that and we had to talk about it. Oh my God. But now we're going to pivot over into a little more science stuff. Because we love to talk about it. But we have the Chinese AI program. So we're gonna get over that. We got some 2 different videos to watch for that. You got them working on their self-driving truck trailers, long haul trucks, and then they got just different Chinese humanoid robots that they brought over to New York. So, and they had some people going crazy over that. So let's jump right over to that and see what is all happening with the Chinese AI program and how they're advancing. Yeah, let's jump over into that.
Long-haul trucking on a vast network of expressways that surpasses even the U.S. in length is the lifeblood of China's sprawling industrial supply chains, not to mention the nation's booming e-commerce. Domestic express deliveries last year shattered all records, with nearly 175 billion parcels shipped. But there are growing pains, including a shortage of drivers.
Actually, truck driver is a very well-paid job in China in terms of a blue-collar job. But a young person, they'd rather to do the food delivery, which earn much less, but not to do the trucking job because that is lonely and dangerous.
Today, we've hitched a ride with longtime truck driver Fu Tingfeng on the last leg of his solo 500-mile trip from Wuhan to Shanghai. Normally, such a journey would require 2 drivers taking turns. But Fu, for the better part of a year now, has been driving one of the 3,000 tractor trailers in China equipped with an advanced driver assistance system from Chinese startup Inceptio Technology, which takes a lot of the driving of the 31-ton rig out of his hands.
When people are visually fatigued, for example when changing lanes, you think the distance between the vehicles is enough, right? Then you turn the steering wheel and it is normal to get a scratch. You can see on the screen that the radar and camera must have reached a certain distance, a safe distance between the vehicles, before it allows the lane change.
Driver assistance technology is facing intense scrutiny in China since a fatal crash in March of a Xiaomi SU7 EV that had its autopilot system turned on. When this ADAS system is engaged, Fu doesn't need to keep his foot on the pedals, as the rig handles acceleration and braking, as well as lane changes and maintaining safe distances. Inceptio has logged more than 215 million operational kilometers.
There's a lot of congestion ahead.
Lots of traffic.
Yes, but the system can handle all kinds of road conditions. Doesn't matter if there's a traffic jam.
6 cameras, 5 radars, and 1 LiDAR sensor help the truck navigate most hazards, and remote monitoring makes sure Fu is not over-relying on technology. So he's saying the sensor there up at the windshield will tell if he's drowsing off, and then the seatbelt will shake and the seat will shake to kind of wake him up.
The seatbelt will tighten on you. It would even shake loose a kidney stone, just like a massage chair.
Fu's employer, delivery company YTO Express, has 300 Inceptio ADAS-equipped trucks in its fleet and plans to add another 400 this year. At first, a bit skeptical, YTO now sees labor costs reduced by about a third and fuel savings of around 1 liter for every 100 kilometers.
It can eliminate some of the dangerous driving behaviors of individual drivers, which reduces risks to our shipments.
For the 46-year-old Fu, he says the advancements may just delay his previously planned retirement from the road.
I can drive this truck without getting tired even after working for more than 10 hours. I have a lot of energy.
Having arrived safely in Shanghai, Stephen Engel, Bloomberg News.
Oh, wow. So that's crazy. AI trucking is most likely, it's the future. That's what I'm thinking, because if you're able to reduce the need for 2 drivers on a regular route that would require 2 drivers on a standard truck, yes, the company's saving money and the driver's not crazy tired after that. It's all good things. Now they got to do a lot more research, of course, because you never know what problems can come out of this. But it's crazy to think how far AI and these different self-driving technologies are advancing and how fast they are advancing. It's going to end up in 20, 30 years. You might even see like the stuff like iRobot, where the majority of the cars on the road have some kind of AI component into it, to where you're hardly touching the steering wheel. Now, would you be safe in those situations? I don't know. My thinking has always been if all the other cars have AI, because the main thing that would worry me is the human interaction part. Say if 20% of the cars are all AI cars and self-driving, they still have to worry about the humans who are still driving the cars. So 20%, 80% of the humans are still driving the cars. Now, if all 100% are all AI controlled, everything's interacting with each other, everybody knows where the cars are on the road, I can't see where it would be any danger in that, because nothing is running outside of the program. Now, yes, programs crash and everything like that. So once we get all the bugs out, yes, I feel like that would dramatically decrease the crashes. Now, tell me if I'm thinking wrong. Tell me if you disagree with me, but that is my thinking. That's going to be the future. Majority of the cars on the road, I can see within 50 years. Within 50 years, majority of the cars on the road is going to have some kind of AI component into it. I can see it, just how fast AI is moving. Now, if you disagree, or if you think I'm wrong, or if you think it's going to take even more time, let me know. Let me know your thoughts. Now we're going to jump over into this next AI video, Chinese AI program, where they were, it was in New York. So it was freaking out some New Yorkers. Let's jump over into that and see what it's talking about.
The Trump administration looking to win the AI race against China as the White House's Director of Science and Technology Policy pitches U.S.-made chips at a tech forum in South Korea. Cyber guy Kurt Knutson joins us now. So good to see you this morning.
Charlie, good to see you. Keep your eye on this one. This is APEC. This is out in South Korea. So it's the U.S. versus China. It's really a chance for us to come out and say, all right, we as Americans, here's our plan with AI. So the Trump administration is there, and they're essentially saying, take off the shackles, let's innovate. We're going to own it. Here's the software we're going to have. You should use our stuff around the world that we're making in the U.S. China, on the other hand, very different. Instead of allowing private industry to innovate, the government's going to do that. They want to, well, be more open, share this, try to get as many people using the Chinese version of whatever AI standards may come out of APEC. But really, it's just, I'll show you what I've got, you show me what you've got, and let's see. The rest of the world is going to pick one or the other ultimately. Right. So that's what we're watching.
So real quick, because I want to get to the second story. In a blind taste test, who makes the best chips?
Oh, we do. No doubt.
Without
NVIDIA. I mean, they're the leader in this industry. It all started from a graphics. I don't want to get too geeky on you, but it all started with a really good graphics chip that now is really the basis of AI here in innovation in our country. We've got them. I mean, we've got, hands down, America's got that right now. Next year, year after, that's a question. You got to keep innovating. You got to stay on it.
You got to keep going.
And history shows that private innovation is usually better than government innovation.
100%.
And which is how we won the Cold War.
True.
Of course. So the second thing I want to ask you about is I want to ask you about this robot, and I'm like really disturbed by this. I mean, that was right here in New York City, strolling down. I'm not sure exactly where it was, but as you can see, people are really not sure am I going to start seeing this? Are we going to see this everywhere?
So this is named Koid. This is a Unitree robot out of China that was set loose in Midtown Manhattan, and it had a variety of responses, mostly freak out. It went in to try on some Hoku shoes at a local store, and people are like, what? And the guy working there was like, okay, I'll get you. What size shoe do you want? And he goes, tries it on. What a lot of people don't know is it wasn't autonomous. It's not like thinking, I think I'll go in here and get some shoes. It was a remote controlled.
Okay.
It was really a gimmick to get attention on the Unitree robot, and also an interesting EFT or cryptocurrency that they're trying to promote related to it. But it is interesting because it got everybody going like, what are you doing here? What are you all about? And it's very unsettling to see a robot on the loose.
It is unsettling, and it kind of makes me think you shouldn't go down the street without being armed, maybe with a garden hose.
No doubt. A garden hose, you think that'll stop them?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to work.
So, but
maybe a fire hose.
Yeah, I'm not so sure anymore. It looks like it might be waterproof.
Look at the kids on the stroller like, what the heck is going on?
Don't stop waiting. But you did say it was remote controlled, so...
Yeah, so there's a guy you're not seeing on camera here that's just near him that's causing this robot to do this. But imagine you're in your own town and this thing starts running down your street at you. You can feel like, what in the world is going on?
Now, we got to think that it's crazy that robotics have taken a turn to, have grown so much to where we can actually see something like this happening. Now, once you introduce AI into it and artificial intelligence, that's where I can't imagine. Because then it's thinking on its own, learning on its own. That is the whole point of it, is thinking and learning and growing on its own. But at the end of the day, we might end up with some Ultron stuff like some Marvel. Like where he learned too much and learned that humans are destroying the planet. And that humans, and in order to save humanity, or something crazy where they always say where in order to save humanity, we must enslave humanity. That's where it all gets out of you got the iRobot movie, all the great androids taking over movies or AI taking over movies. Absolutely wild. I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, this is Chinese AI program and Chinese AI and US AI are fighting to try to be the best. Who is going to take the top? We took the top on the space race. Now we'll see who takes the top in the NVIDIA chips or in the AI chips. Absolutely wild. Tell me your thoughts on that. How do you feel about the AI program in general? How would you feel about seeing a humanoid robot or running down your street Would you be freaked out like some of these people? Because that is wild. I'm not going to lie. That is wild. Now, I remember seeing a video a little while ago. It was literally a video. Hold on. We can find that. Let me see if I can find that. Because that was crazy. See if it even comes up. There it is. This was the one. No, so let's over into this. Boom. Let's jump over into this. If you remember this video, can't have that music because the music gonna do. It's like it woke up and started to freak out. God. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Now, like I said, it's scary. It's crazy to think of how far AI is advancing. Absolutely crazy to think how far AI is advancing. But that is what we're thinking. Tell me your thoughts on the AI program. Do you agree with it? Do you think it's moving too fast? How long do you think it's before we get true AI robots and stuff like that? All AI self-driving cars. How many years do you think that's going to take? Those are the questions. But remember to like, subscribe, hit that comment. We got one more video we're going to go over today. So we're going to jump over into a woman was killed while trying to escape a Nashville block party. Yes, I said it right. A woman was killed trying to escape a Nashville block party. So we'll jump right over into that and see what it's talking about. So let's jump right into it. I love doing that. Let's jump into it. Watch it on.
Those detectors are designed to prevent tragedies. Similar to what happened in East Nashville over the weekend, a 20-year-old aspiring nurse, Nevaeh Wilson, shot and killed during a block party. Spoke with one of her former teachers, still trying to process the devastating news.
Nevaeh's going to be truly missed.
First thing, before we get into the video, main thing is the violence in our communities, is getting out of hand. I mean, it's in all communities. I will say that, all communities, but it might be the news who are just showing it more, but we need to stop. There's no need to have all this violence happening where people are shooting up at parties, and then you end up killing someone. But let's keep going into this video.
Party. Our Aaron Cantrell spoke with one of her former teachers, still trying to process the devastating news.
Nevaeh's going to be truly missed. She was really a breath of sunshine.
Kiana Hughes will never forget the first time she met Nevaeh Wilson during her senior year of high school.
One day I just walked up and I was like, why you don't ever smile? And she's like, I do smile. And I was like, I don't ever see it. And she's like, I'm not mean or anything. She just was always focused.
It was that focus and drive that helped Nevaeh earn a spot at Tennessee State University, Hughes' own alma mater.
Gave her my first jacket that I got when I went to TSU, from alumni to a future alumni.
A moment that made Hughes incredibly proud.
Helped me realize something I said, something that has been instilled in her, has taught her not to give up.
But nothing could have prepared her for the call she got this weekend.
To get that call, it was a lot. I was in disbelief.
Nevaeh was shot in the lower back while trying to run away from gunfire on Oakwood Avenue during a block party on Saturday night. According to Metro Police, several people fired dozens of shots. They still don't know why, Nevaeh was rushed to the hospital, but she did not survive.
To know that she was trying to get somewhere safe because of people being reckless.
Nevaeh was known for being loving and caring, and Hughes knows she left a lasting mark on the world, especially because her name holds special meaning.
Heaven spelled backwards.
And from what Hughes knows about heaven, Nevaeh lived up to it.
They say heaven is supposed to be a place of peace. Heaven is a place of happiness. Heaven is a place of giving and love. And that was Nevaeh.
In Nashville, Aaron Cantrell, News Channel 5.
Absolutely tragic. I don't... It's always happened at some kind of party, something getting shot up. And then all because of that, someone starts shooting. And then an innocent person, future teacher, trying to escape the shooting, gets shot and ends up dying. We got to pray for the family. Pray for her teacher, who is obviously devastated. And pray that the people get caught. The people who did this get caught. Every single one who shot. Unless they were shooting to defend themselves. But at the end of the day, even if you were shooting to defend yourself and you shot somebody by accident, you're still guilty. You are still guilty. Because one of the things about shooting, you have to be aware of what's happening behind the person you're shooting at. Absolutely tragic. Absolutely tragic. You have to be careful going to these parties. You have to, because you never know what can pop off. There were so many times, especially when I was in college, to where, well, I wouldn't say so many times, probably like a handful of times, to where somebody yells out gun and or holds up a gun. Something crazy happened. But there's always arguments and fights. That was a common occurrence. Especially at house parties. A common occurrence of fighting. Absolutely tragic. But yeah, tell me your thoughts on that. How do you feel? How much do you... Golly. Tragic situation. Pray for the family. But yeah, like I said, tell me your thoughts if you disagree with any of the things I said throughout this. But that is it for the show, everybody. Thank y'all for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in afterwards and later. These videos, like always, be broken down. But hey, it's almost time to get ready to start work. It's almost 8 a.m., but hopefully you have a good day. I'll be back at y'all tomorrow. Saturday, 8 a.m. So be prepared. We got some more stories to go over. More things to look at, because news never stops. And these crazy world keeps going. And no matter how crazy the world gets, we got to keep living it. Got to keep living it, and we got to keep reviewing the world together. But you already know I got to play the outro. But thank y'all for watching, and have a good day. Peace.